Welcome back, folks, to Cinema Alley, this show where we talk about your favorite movies and their stories. I am your host, James Howe, and always with me is my co-host, Chris Cupp. Chris, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great.
Doing great. This is the
Fantastic.
second half of our Christmas special. We covered It's a Wonderful Life, and, from time to time, that does tend to shine. By the time that we recorded this, I'm just in a major case of burnout, just all in general. So it doesn't feel like a wonderful life right now. But you know what? We're definitely going to sit there and get some laughs in today because our film that we are covering is Gremlins. Um, a little fun fact: the town of Kingston Falls is very much reminiscent of Bedford Falls. So when I picked this out, because I picked out most of these movies, my co-host didn't really get a say. We'll change that next season. Sorry, Chris.
I just want a voice. That's all. That's
But
all I ask.
it didn't click to me that pretty much the I would have my Christmas movies linked together just based off of one little nod towards a classic. So like today we look at the Gremlins as it's a classic, and we look at It's a Wonderful Life as a timeless classic. But to go from Bedford Falls to Kingston Falls, we don't have no shit, Chris, what was the name of the old fart that something Potter, Mr. Potter?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Potter. Yeah, Potter.
Yeah, yeah. So we're not
The
going
bad
to
guy.
Pottersville, but we do have a couple of characters. God, it's been a week, folks. It's been a fucking week. Oh my god, just break out the alcohol. That's all I gotta say. Break in for the new year early,
You guys aren't
But
drunk yet? What?
it's the holidays, so I hope everyone is. But yeah, so we don't have no Mr. Potters here, but we do have a Mrs. Deagle. And this episode is going to be a little bit different because I'm actually covering the early draft. So this is where there is some humor in the script, but it's mostly played as a straight horror film with some very cute, little nods. Where my co-host Chris will actually be covering in the later half of this episode, he'll be actually covering the story of what we got so far. So going off again, you can find this script on the scriptlab.com. All you have to do is just type up, Gremlins screenplay, and you will get the second draft from April 21st, 1982, written by Chris Columbus. For one, I still can't believe Chris Columbus wrote this. Like, this is the guy who did Home Alone. Um, he directed Home Alone because he did not write it. That belonged to, oh my god, that guy's name, John something. He did a lot of the 80s films.
Are you thinking of Breakfast Club and
Yes, Breakfast Club,
Pretty in Pink?
Pretty in Pink. I can't
Pretty in
believe I
Pink.
forgot.
We're
I,
failing right now,
I am fucking failing, folks, and there
man.
is no alcohol.
John
And
Hughes.
John Hughes, there we go.
Yep.
I know his first name was John. Okay, so I was half right. So yeah, John Hughes. John Hughes wrote the script for Home Alone, but Chris Columbus, if I remember, I directed that movie. So with Gremlins, this is kind of like pre all of this, but yeah. So we're seeing the script before Steven Spielberg gave his light touch on it and made it the most wholesome, hilarious horror comedy. So we're gonna dive right into the darker, much more edgier, very sinister side of Gremlins first before we have our comedic laughs. So we're gonna break right into the ordinary world. Uh, Rand Peltzer is searching the Hong Kong marketplace, and from my understanding, I think in the original film that Chris will tell, I think like he was just like in a little tiny Chinatown area in the United States. This one, we're like actually in another country. So Rand Peltzer searches through the Hong Kong marketplace for for a Christmas present for his son, and he ends up buying a mogwai from a strange salesman at a oddity shop. And yeah, you kind of get a little bit of like, I don't know, when I read that, it's like a little nod to the Yellow Peril, which to me is like, ooh, it still doesn't look good, like especially for the dialogue that's written.
Just like, "Mwah, please take this evil demon thing." for
okay, maybe
running
not
as
that
president.
offensive. Maybe not that offensive,
But like,
but
you get the vibe
we're
like he's
bordering.
up to no
Yeah,
good.
yeah, well, yeah, because even whenever Rand leaves, there's a sinisterness quality about him where, yeah, it's like, oh, what's going on? And one of the things that I really, really enjoy about this script was when Rand Peltzer was sitting, waiting for the airplane to kick off. He actually called one of the flight stewardess and asked them, "What does Mogwai mean in Chinese?" And she tells him "devil." Now, I have no clue if that is a very factual thing, because it is Hollywood. We do like to kind of fudge a couple of things up for the sake of
Mhm.
entertainment. So I have no clue if that has any legitimacy to it. Um, language is a very funny thing, folks. So, like, one thing can mean two different things in a different region of even just one language. Uh, so yeah, there's my little take on that. But yeah, so I thought it was actually a really interesting little tidbit into the script. The script, again, it's not that long like the movie. It does move pretty fast once you get the gremlins involved. So yeah, moving forward, uh, we actually follow our hero now in the ordinary world, Billy Peltzer. He is a bank teller and a fantasy writer, which is something a little different compared to what was in the final cut of the movie. So yeah, in this one, instead of being an illustrator, he's a writer, and uh, yeah, like really, there's nothing that really changes much with Billy's character, from my understanding. I think that they kept him very much rooted, but
Well, from
obviously,
like
huh?
from what I've seen, like differences wise, like in the script, this early version of the script, he seems a little bit more stern and like more confident, and he'll like stand up at, as compared to his character in the
Well, yeah,
movie.
because he does stand up to Mrs. Deagle, which is supposed to be his call to adventure,
Yeah,
is standing up. But like, I don't know, in this script, there's a bit of J.R.R. Tolkien, and yeah, that's the guy's name, right? J.R.R. Tolkien. Did I just fuck
for
that up?
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, pretty sure. J.R.
I know his
Tolkien.
last
Yeah,
name is
no.
Tolkien.
You made me quest doubt it. I was like, I have to look up at my Lord of the
Uh,
Rings shelf. Like, yeah, it's J.R. Tolkien. Like, oh crap! Wait, what
folks,
is
folks, folks. It's been a weekend. It's been a weekend. Please bear with us. I had a
it?
12 hour. I had a 12-hour stream for when we're recording this. I had a 12-hour stream on Friday. Saturday was supposed to be my off day, and I got so fucking burned out. So today I went to the movie theaters to try to save my brain, and it didn't do me any favors. So yeah, if you're wondering why we're questioning ourselves, it's been a week and a weekend.
It's been a very
So
stressful like months, but like here we are. We're at the finish line.
yeah, we're at the finish line. We're fucking limping with, chains attached with fucking cinder blocks at the end, and we're just trying not to fall into the lake. Um, that was dark, but I'm sorry. But yeah, so where the fuck were we? Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
we're
Billy.
comparing Billy's character from, yeah. So I get a J.R.R. Tolkien vibe, and um, there's reason for that later on whenever I talk about this in the break in my breakdown. Because Call to Adventure, Billy is confronted by Mrs. Deagle, who's a rich socialite who won't take no for an answer from anyone, let alone Billy. Billy refuses to cash her checks in, and because her last four have bounced, and so Billy, in more or less legal terms, is like, I can't do anything about it, which pisses her off because everyone knows Mrs. Deagle is like, she's Karen level. She has yet to reach Sheila Broflovsky levels. Going back to our, what, that was episode 4 when we covered South Park. Yeah, because our first 3 were the Star Wars episodes. Boy, I'm on a roll of fucking myself up here today. I really am.
Look
This
back
is the
at
way how we
episode
close out the
4
season.
of us talking to South Park here.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. You plugged that way better than my dumbass did.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, so like the whole refusal of the call is like Billy just refuses to freaking apologize. He's not gonna back down, but he does kind of feel bad because in him standing up for his convictions and his morals, he more or less kind of gets sent home early from the from the manager. It's like, I can't put up with this. And Tracy, our love interest for Billy, does feel kind of sorry for him. Gary, who is a character that's not in the final cut, um, he's like a very sleazy security guard that has a thing for Tracy. Like he actually does believe Tracy's my woman. You stay away. And I kind of had shades of Tammy and the T Rex when it came to like the guy trying to date, um, what's her name from Starship Troopers? Uh, Caspin Van Diemen's love interest,
Yeah, Casper Van
Denise
Dien.
Richards. Denise Richards.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm on a roll today, but yeah. So when oh great, I just forgot the other actor's name. Who was it that sat there and did Fast and the Furious? He played Dom's opposite in that. He was the good guy.
Oh,
That actor. Yeah, Timmy and the T Rex. Yeah, I'm on a fucking roll here, folks. I don't know if
sorry,
I should break.
you're
I don't
referencing
know if I should
movies that
break.
like are off topic here,
I'm
and I'm just
Yeah,
like,
I'm referencing
wait,
so
you're
much off
throwing me off,
topic. But
man. Uh, Brian O'Connor is opposite of Vin Diesel's character,
yeah, but I'm trying to think of
Paul
what's the
Walker.
actor's name. Yeah,
Talking
Paul
about Paul
Walker. So
Walker,
yeah, Paul Walker
who
had this
tragically
relationship with
died
Denise
like
Richards.
6 years ago.
Yeah,
Poor guy.
so like Denise Richards has a thing for Paul Walker, but she has broken off this thing in Tammy and the T Rex with like this real scummy high school punk guy who is obviously, these guys are way older than fucking high schoolers, but I still love it. And like
Wait, Paul
sweatshirt
Walker
crop
wasn't in
tops.
Starship Troopers.
No. I'm talking about Tammy and the T Rex, but I was making reference to Denise Richards, and I know I'm all
Oh,
over the place. I don't know if we should break for
okay.
coffee. I
I
don't
was
feel like
like,
breaking.
I have the thing right here. You done anywhere here?
I don't know if we should just make a counter right now for like all the times I have fucked up, and I think like that would take more time in post production compared to just getting this freaking episode out.
Oh my gosh.
Um, but anyway, so yeah, Tracy has a thing for Billy, and Billy kind of does too, but they have yet to really kind of reconcile that. And Gary's all like, oh, that dude's a freak, and of course he goes and compares him to a school shooter. He's like, there's always those smart ones that are school shooters, and it's like, wow, this is
That's right.
way too fucking,
This was way before
yeah,
school shooting was like a thing, Like
yeah. Like
pretty dark.
even then it's a dark joke, but even today I don't know many people that can actually make a dark joke about that without getting at least half the fucking crowd like like
Yeah. But
yeah, oh, that was cringy, don't want to touch that, let's move
I mean,
on,
I think more accurate would be like going postal, I think, but I don't think that was a real thing until like the 90s.
I think it just entirely depends on where you go. If it's,
Yeah.
yeah, I think there's some people that they can understand, they take the joke but move on. It's like it wasn't that funny, but yeah. Either way, we're moving on here. We're moving on here because fucking Gary is a fucking asshole. Um, so yeah, Billy goes home, and on his way there, he ends up picking up Pete, who is it's very odd to see a guy who's not in high school like actually sit there and hang out with like a freshman and
Yeah.
everything. Very odd. Like even in the final cut, it was just odd. But oh well.
Kid
So
must not
he
have a lot
picks
of
up
friends.
Pete, and whenever they drive over to Dougal's Antiques for Billy to pick up his kind of like more or less his early Christmas gift. Though he'll have another one yet to come later in the day. Um, he picks up like a 11th century sword that was I don't know what's the term for it, de-rusted, restored. There you go. That's probably
Yeah,
better.
restored.
Restored,
Yeah.
de-rusted. God, Chris, like
You need a
smack me in the head
vacation.
with a frying pan. Let's hope that some brain cells can wake up. So yeah. So he goes and picks up this sword, which again, this is where we get the Tolkien vibes with him being a fantasy writer. Because even then, I do think that he was on the way. He was telling Pete about the stories that he was working on with Lancelot and Sir Arthur. So he definitely has an Arthurian inspiration for his stories. Um, so this is like where I feel like very much Billy is so different. Um, it's he lives in a world of fantasy, and that fantasy is about to come to life with the events are to come. But yeah, so he picks up the sword, he checks it out. Like apparently, he only gets to make like so many payments of $20, and it's like that's pretty badass for a fucking sword that this not pawn shop broker, this antique guy was able to restore. And it's like, oh, give me about $20 $20 a week, and I kind of wondered through inflation just how much that is. Um, and yeah, like that's more or less
$20
like
now.
meeting the mentor. It's Billy kind of feels powerful when he has that sword, and Dougal kind of does his best to kind of always pep up. It doesn't really tie in with the Gremlin story or anything, but it's more of a symbolic gesture that Billy is going to go on an adventure that he has yet to know of, but he was given like the best weapon to battle these gremlins.
It's like
uh
Zelda. Here, it's dangerous out there. Take this. And the
exactly. this is
old
this
man
is the
gives
scene
his
where
sword.
Billy runs into the castle with the wizard. It's like, here,
Yeah.
take this. And it's like, can you also give me those 16 hearts too that I know I'm gonna need? And
No, you're on your own.
but yeah, so crossing over to the threshold is when Billy comes home after dropping Pete off at his house. And Billy comes home, he's putting up the sword. We meet Lynn, who is his mother, and in this, oh my god, she is a pill popping, like, not like, oh, I gotta get high, but more of like, I get stressed so easy, so I need to take these antidepressant uppers, whatever. She medicates herself. Valium, I think that's what you sat there said it was last week when we were discussing this.
Yeah, Valium.
Yeah, she was like taking like Valium, and she's taking a shit like a fucking kid eats a damn Pez dispenser candy. Like, I've never seen someone just fucking chug this shit in one scene. She just pops it. But obviously, they're awaiting Dad to come home. Christmas is only a couple of days away, and they can't wait to sit there and have the family. And we do kind of get like a bit of a nice family moment between mom and son. And then when Pops gets here, and he's like, I got an early birthday or Christmas present for you. And it's like, what'd you get me? And quite obviously, there's something in the box that bounces, and he's like, you're gonna have to open it up, soon. And when he does, he finds himself face to face with the Mogwai. Um, and like, already off the bat, the Mogwai is so mischievous. Like, he giggles and he kind of gives you a little smile. It's almost like Jack Nicholson in a Furby. It's pretty much kind of what it is. Um, when Billy is like kind of like wagging his finger, because like at first Billy's like a little off kilter. It's like, what the fuck is this? It's like, Dad, like, did you fucking go to hell and pick out a Furby? Like, what did
Honestly, I
you?
think like that's exactly everyone's normal reaction. Like if someone came home with that and like that's not a normal pet. Like what the hell is this thing?
It's like, where in the American government did you find this? So it's
Yeah.
like, you were in China, like not Area 51. And so so yeah, he brings him there and kind of tells him a little bit about the rules. Billy waves his little finger at him, and yeah, he fucking nips at Billy's finger. He gets fucking pissed. He's like, what the fuck? And like, I was like, over here, he's like, man, this dude about to eat Billy.
Listen
Billy
here, you
boy.
little shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get that shit with cats. So obviously, I'm wondering, whenever Chris Columbus wrote this, I really wonder if a fucking cat was fucking with him. While he's over there at the typewriter, fucking punching up pages, that if one of his cats was just fucking biting his finger so he could pet it. Because that's what I get with, with my cats. It's like, I was like, yes, I love you. Pet them, give them that love, that affection for 5 minutes, and then go back to typing. And then like they'll just legit try to get their head underneath your hand, and it's all like, I can crush you. And then they're like, just pet me. And I'm on something, folks. I don't know what I'm on. Anyway, so yeah, when the mom goes and gets gets like her old fashioned camera that has a flash to it, she takes a picture of Billy with the Mogwai, and it scares the Mogwai, and it ends up scratching Billy in the face, and he actually calls it a fucking little bastard. I was like, oh my god! I was like, yeah, this definitely got the Spielberg touch, because that movie would not have got that freaking far, with calling such a cute, marketable little critter as a bastard. Um, and that's pretty much when we kind of learn from Rand Peltzer that the rules of the Mogwais are afraid of bright light. They can't be by it. And apparently it's
Horrible
so
that.
connected with Rand that it nuzzles itself up. It's all scared, but it finds comfort in him because it knew him the longest out of everyone in the room. Um,
It's just
and
tricking them. It's manipulating them.
yeah, and yeah, when it goes later on that night when Billy is punching up a couple of pages for his new fantasy novel, the Mogwai I wouldn't sit there say at this point he was just being mischievous to be mischievous, but he was being a very curious animal. He sees the sword and tries to pick it up, but it knocks over, and Billy kind of gets upset with them. It's like, would you leave shit alone? And it's like, yeah, this is a fucking cat. It fucking bites you when you try to play nice with it. It tries to bite you. It scratches you. It knocks shit down in your damn room, and it's like, would you leave shit alone? It's a cat. It's what this thing is. It's a cat. So
It's a
we're on
very
you, Chris
demony
Columbus.
little
Demonic
monster.
cat, yeah. But yeah. So at this point, Billy does try to warm up to it. It's like, I can't really hate you. I'm just now noticing you. The dog doesn't like you because you took away all the attention and the affection from the dog, which I've been there with my animals and everything. Like, if my animals want attention, they'll fucking demand it. I have demanding little shits.
Yep.
But yeah, so uh, that's pretty much kind of wraps up Act One. Is throughout this whole night of when Rand is supposed to get home, and we kind of get a day in the life of Billy, which is very stressful because he's dealing with a bunch of rich, uptight pricks. He has a lady that loves him, but she also has like this little freaking, you know, rat on her shoulder that's all like, oh, like he's trouble. And now he actually has a legit, creature of unknown origin. Like they're like, this isn't a normal house pet. What is this? What did you get me? And now he's having to learn to live with it underneath the roof because, who's gonna sit there and say, I don't want this? Like, Dad, why'd you get this for me? And you don't want to be an ungrateful prick.
Yeah.
So Billy's trying to make the best. Um, and through the test allies and enemies, through like the next couple of days, Billy does get acquainted with it. The Mogwai gets curious and comfortable with them. Billy ends up running into Tracy the next day while heading off to work. The roads are iced. And so, they're all like, oh, well, we're going to be a half an hour late if we drive. So do you want to go get coffee? Which, again, fucking smooth there, Peltzer. Very, very smooth. How to get the girl that likes you to like you even more? Coffee. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. There's not a better love story that didn't start without coffee. So yeah, they go in to do it, and well, they're not doing it; they're having coffee. Anyway,
They're going
uh,
on their date.
yeah, well, yeah, not really a date, but yeah, kinda. So the coffee, they're getting at. They're just talking about. We learn a little bit more about what Billy wants. Billy doesn't really want to work at the bank all of his life. He has dreams and aspirations, much like our lead in "It's a Wonderful Life." There are some correlations to some of these characters, and Billy really wants to travel the world. He wants to see the architecture. He wants to write more books. He definitely wants to work in the creative field, very similar to crap. I was about to say Warren Beatty. I completely forgot the characters we were talking about last week.
Oh
uh,
yeah. For you talking about Potter
it's, yeah, It's a
or
Wonderful Life.
yeah,
Opposite of Potter, the main thing, the main character in that one. Yeah, I know.
man.
Our brains are shot to shit. anyway,
Damn.
continuing. Yeah, so he's like that, and they're enjoying themselves, but without them even knowing, you have Gary that's spying on them, and Gary is like fucking super pissed. Billy has obviously found himself in the ire of, hopefully I said that word right, the ire of Gary, and a lot of the jealousy does pick up a lot later in the script whenever we have all the characters band together to survive the night of the Gremlins. So yeah, there's that. Gary ends up confronting Billy over all of this uh, with Tracy of like, stay away, she's mine. Days go on even more, and Pete comes over to Billy's place, and he discovers the Mogwai. And in an accident, they spill water. It lands on it, and that's when they figured out a new little rule: is not only can Mogwais stay in the dark because the sunlight kills them, but with water they multiply. And there are little small idiosyncratic
Idiosyncrasies.
idiosyncratic, yeah, syncrasies. There you go. I suck at words today. and yet we're doing this podcast. So welcome to Failing at Words with James Howe.
Yeah,
Um,
it's okay. We'll power through.
we're powered through. It's been a week, folks. We're capitalizing it with some of the best fucking movies to talk about. I fucking love everyone, and I love you all. Don't ever forget it. But yeah, so they figured out that the multiplying, and if you actually take one of them away from the pack, they fucking scream. So we're learning right here with test allies and enemies exactly what the enemy is capable of, just in the sheer fact of just being annoying. And yeah, with all this, Billy ends up the next day. He goes to his old high school biology teacher, Roy Hansen, who does pop up frequently at the beginning of Act Two. If we really split Act Two up in the to 2A and 2B, Roy more or less fits into to 2A a little bit more when we're learning about these creatures. And they do the water test again. They show him there's another gremlin. I think at this time there's like 9 gremlins now by the time that they do it. um, and yeah, he has no clue what the hell they are. All he can tell you is that they're attracted to water when they're not hunting for food and water, and they tend to stay in packs. And if they're ever separated, they just let out this loud scream. It's I guess to scare away their predators. So ending the test allies and enemies, we go into the approach. Billy wakes up one night after dealing with all these little gremlins, and something just tells him to wake up. He hears something weird. He grabs the sword. Maybe he thinks it's a robbery, which again, I love it. Oh, my house is breaking in. Let me grab my 11th century sword. That'll show them.
Chose the wrong house. Alexa, play the
Exactly.
Skyrim battle theme.
Do, va,
Mm.
king. And when Billy gets down there, he is introduced to the most shocking scene ever, to see 9 little gremlins eat the family dog. Like, already the role in horror has been established long before this. You don't kill the dog. Fucking Chris Columbus was like, fuck that role. The dog gets eaten. And I'm like, no. When
This
I
is a
read this,
horror
I
movie, bitch.
like I knew that this was gonna happen because I've heard stories about this screenplay with the dog getting eaten and the mother getting her head cut off and bounced down the stairs. But when you actually read it, you just can't believe your freaking eyes of like, holy shit, they actually did eat the dog. Billy's getting ready to kill him. Rand stops him. They just throw him all in a little bag and throw him up in the freaking damn attic. And this is kind of pretty much where rule number 3 kind of comes in. Of like, we already have that you keep them out of direct sunlight, you keep them away from water. So we learned rule number 3 in the final script, but this is something that we soon learn what happens when you feed a mogwai so late at night. And yeah, whenever they throw him up there, Rand sat there, says, "We'll kill him with the sunlight tomorrow. First thing, we'll just take care of them." And Billy is like, "Okay, I can try to go to sleep, but at the same time, you fucking ate my dog, like the one pet in this household that I actually liked, and you ate it. You mischievous little fuckers." So when they wake up in the morning to get ready to kill these fuckers, this right here, we're going straight to the ordeal. The story moves pretty fast with this. The Mogwais are in cocoons, and Billy and all them are all shocked. They're like, "What the hell is this?" They call up Roy, and this is kind of pretty much when Roy fizzles out because Roy goes and he does his experiments. They even try to set the cocoons on fire, and it's like they're fireproof, which is funny because they're organic. How can something organic be fireproof?
Uh,
I must be missing something
I don't know.
in like
Maybe they're just
actual.
like more like they harden to the point where like they're more rock, you know, like they're
But
so dense.
their cocoons don't sit there and look to be as hard. Like, yeah, it's slimy, like literally they look like boogers, or like the Brussels sprouts from Ernest Scared Stupid. That's what they look
Also,
like.
they are in the house though still, so like you can't really set fire to cocoons and now burn the house down, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, with all these, they pretty much talk about that it's going to go into a metamorphosis. We don't know when they're going to wake up, which kind of like already harkens of, oh god, we should have killed these fuckers when we should have. Because when they threw them up in the attic, they were scratching at the door to be let back out. They're like, let us out, let us out. So now they're all like, fuck it, we'll just cocoon here. And yeah, there's nothing else for them to do. Like they don't know when these things are gonna hatch. Billy more or less has his mom say, "Call me if anything happens." Him and Rand go to work. I think Rand actually had to travel for like a little bit because it's never really specified in the screenplay what is Rand Peltzer. He's not the inventor yet.
Yeah,
Like
I
in the
think he's
final
just like
cut.
a regular businessman.
That's what I was wondering, or just a traveling salesman, kind of like Dale Griffin and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Like
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, like does this character sell shower rings or something like that? It you just never know. Like
got a
these
white switch.
creators were like around each other, like Chris Columbus and John. What's his last name? Chris.
Hughes.
There we go. John Hughes. They were around each other a lot, so I would not doubt it if some of their characters were always little twists and nods of what the other guy previously wrote, and they just did it just for like a giggle of, oh, anytime I see this, I see my work in it. You know, hi John, or hi Chris. Uh, I would think that these guys would have that kind of fun with each other in their movies. Um, but yeah, so as Billy's at work and all them, they're doing their thing. Um, the pods hatch, and right before mom goes to investigate, um, she calls Billy and sits there and tells him the pods have been hatched. It's like I don't know what the hell is upstairs, and of course, freaking um, Billy's mom decides to go investigate without her son, and yeah, she gets pulled up into the attic. We don't. I don't know where they got the idea of like they cut her head off and bounce it down the stairs because uh yeah, the body is found to be eaten.
Yeah, I don't
So
think there's a
like
decapitation. There might have been an earlier
there might have
version
been
of
one in like a later
decapitation.
draft, or maybe in the first draft. So like
Yeah,
they kind of so
they
this
toned it
edition
down.
didn't have mom loses her head and bounces down the stairs. She gets eaten. Uh, and the Mogwai are pretty much just all over the place. They're fucking up whatever record mom was playing. They're eating the Christmas cookies, the gingerbread men, and when Billy comes home and investigates all of this, uh, first they're like not doing all this yet. Like they have yet, I think, to really explore the house yet. They're still staying in the attic in the dark where it's safe. But when Billy pretty much finds the sword, that's when they start popping up and they start attacking him. And all of like the neat little kills that we remember, fucking Billy was doing that. Like Billy was chopping the fucking hell out of them. Put them in the blender, put them in the microwave.
Mhm.
Which again, these are all wonderful kills. Um, I think what was it? I think Billy ended up battling a couple of them that jumped out of the Christmas tree, and he's like cutting them in half.
Yeah,
And just when you sit there and think, "Oh God, this is it. This is the end. This is our ordeal. These things have hatched." But Billy's managed to kill most of them. One of them has escaped, and Billy, following the tracks, it has led them to the YMCA swim building. It's just this big old wide mega pool. Billy tries to fight it. And really, I think with this Mogwai, once it hatched, that's where you get a lot of the characteristics of Stripe.
yeah,
Uh, you kind of see a lot of these ideas that were in the final cut. Like they're they're not fully formed, but they're there. They're in an embryo stage
yeah.
still.
I mean, it seems like the very first version that we meet is like it's not the cute, cuddly one, right? It's kind of
Yeah,
like the Gremlins that we see in the final film, but like maybe smaller, But like it's still
yeah,
kind of,
but
I guess, cute enough to buy. So
yeah, and everything. I'm pretty sure the reason why they made him look all cute and cuddly was the marketing purpose. They looked at this
yeah,
as like this is a huge marketing strategy. We need to fucking capitalize on this. But yeah, so Billy goes into the YMCA building and he's fighting all through the darkness. I think the only thing that's like light in there is the pool. There's like the lights that are like in the pool and everything. And the gremlin is like just hacking at his fucking legs and everything, cutting him up, kicking the shit out of him. And Billy kind of just learned it's like I can't fight this thing. It's impossible. So I'll just contact the cops. So he is able to take like I think it was like a broomstick and quote unquote lock the gremlin in there. Um, but without him noticing, as he goes and runs to the police officers, the gremlin has jumped into the swimming pool, and we all know what's going to happen. We exactly that amount of water, like You
There
only
could
had
be
like a little
hundreds or
spill.
thousands of them.
Yeah, you only had a spill, and I think that spill only made about four of them.
Yeah.
And then through more water exposure, we led up to the nine. Well, the eight or the original eight are dead now. All we have left is what we assume is the actual original gremlin, the first one. And
Yeah.
this son of a bitch jumps into a freaking open swimming pool. So Billy goes. He's trying to tell the cops what's going on. The cops just think he's drunk, had a little too much holiday booze, and so the cop that actually goes with him is Gary's brother, if I remember correctly. I think it's a brother or it's a cousin. He has family in the police force.
Yeah.
Um, they go over there, and the cop's like, "Okay, let's see about these gremlins." And he removes the broomstick, and he still thinks Billy is just drunk and just full of it. Thinks he's written too many of those fantasy books that apparently I guess it's been known around that he's been writing fantasy novels in the town and everything. So they all kind of think that he just has a very over imaginative mind. Um, but when he gets there, like the fucking gremlins just maul him. Like he gets killed, and Billy manages to escape with the police cruiser because the keys somehow were still left in. Very very bad cop to leave your keys in the ignition.
Well,
Uh,
that's writing. Like you put the keys in
yeah,
the
yeah,
overhead thing, and you open it, and keys pop out. And like
yeah,
the key,
like that. And
the car has to be
which
easy to access.
to me, it was amazing that Billy didn't have his hands cuffed. Like that they would have had it. It's like, yeah, you're in a cop car, you're still gonna have your hands cuffed. We don't
Yeah.
want you no stupid shit. But no, his hands are free. He manages to get into the car. He drives off, and he ends up winding him. He ends up in the rich side of the neighborhood of his town, where Mrs. Deagle and his boss are at. And, he's over here, he's banging on doors, he's telling everyone, like, you gotta board up your windows and lock your doors. The gremlins are coming, the gremlins are coming. Like, he's Paul Revere. And everyone's like, what the fuck is he talking about? Yeah, it's like Peltzer, it's too damn late and it's cold out here. And even Mrs. Deagle comes out and she's like, "Oh, I know that boy. That's the boy that should have been fired. That he refused to cash my checks." And so, like, for some reason, like the boss and Deagle's husband, Mr. Deagle, are just fucking like tag team and Billy. I think he does end up losing his job. Like, there's like, you're fired. It's like, can you really fire someone outside of work for just an outside work activity? Like, maybe if you were stalking or
I
like threatening
mean,
and harassing, but
if
also
if
too, these
like
aren't good
you're seen
characters.
as like a harmful to the company or some way, like
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I guess. But like, it's not like Billy's running around, in the nude, ringing a church bell or something like that. Like,
yeah.
he's just out there screaming, "Gremlins are coming," um, and they do, because whenever when Billy runs off and he's trying to warn the rest of the town, like Paul Revere, he ends up seeing that the gremlins are coming, and like they're attacking Mrs. Deagle and everyone. You don't get any of the really cute, funny moments that you do in the final cut. Uh, it's straight to it. They're eating them. Like, they're hanging onto her hair, and they're fucking. I think they like pretty much cut her husband's throat and everything. I don't remember too much what happened to the rest of the rich folks,
It's not
but
pretty though.
no, they get fucked up. Like this, if anything, I look at this edition of the script as more of a black comedy. There's some more black comedy compared to what was in the final cut, and even then, like the final cut and the sequel had black comedy in it throughout certain parts. Um, but yeah, so Billy ends up pretty much running into Tracy, and Gary is not too far away from Tracy. Gary was actually in the car with the sheriff. He's like asking Peltzer, like, "Where the hell's my brother or cousin, whatever?" And it's like, he died. He's like, "What?" It was like, these gremlins killed him. It was like, I told you it was real. And the sheriff's like, "Holy shit, the kid was fucking right." You know, this kid's been crying wolf, and you know, lo and behold, the boy wasn't lying. So Tracy was able to get out with some help. Billy was able to kind of persuade her that she'd be safe, with him. And the moment that they try to get into the police cruiser, the gremlins have already ripped out the interior wiring, and um, yeah, there's obviously, they have to run on foot. So while the sheriff is staying behind to fight off the gremlins, Gary, I was about to say Trish, Gary, Tracy, and Billy make their way to the antique shop, um, with the sword in hand, because Billy's running around still. He even comes to the police unit with a freaking sword. So you kind of understand why the cops are a little leery of this kid. You're drunk and you're carrying a medieval sword. Uh, so yeah, they make it to the antique thing, and this is kind of really about like the reward, because overnight the Gremlins they have attacked everyone. They've killed off probably the majority of the town,
Oh yeah,
and
everyone's dead.
yeah, everyone's dead. I think there are still some survivors, but again, they have stayed so locked into their house. They've actually probably listened to what Peltzer had probably told them, or heard other people say, lock up your doors, don't go out. There's something outside and it's killing everyone. So I'm pretty sure they finally listened. But yeah, so the reward where we get here, it's Billy saves Tracy, and they all shack up at the Dougal's Antiques, and they pretty much they set out the night. And this is where we get the iconic monologue that was originally supposed to be Tracy's story, told by Dougal, about why he doesn't celebrate Christmas and he doesn't believe in Santa Claus, and because his father tried to come down the chimney dressed as Santa, slipped, broke his neck, and they pretty much didn't smell him until after they lit a fire. And they realized that their dad was pretty much he was trying to do a big festive thing for his family, and died trying. Which again, this is like the most grimmest part of the whole fucking screenplay. I think is still when we touch upon this story, um, and it's kind of out of left field for this character to just have this moment. It's weird to have a mentor that's all like, it's like, I remember having a shitty Christmas, not nearly as bad as the majority of the town getting eaten by little creatures. It's like, but my daddy broke his neck going down the chimney trying to deliver presents. And
Why
yeah,
not?
it kind of feels a little off kilter, and I was like, what? And then whenever the Gremlins made their way to the antique store, they had like a kind of like an underground safe that they went to, and that's pretty much where they shack up for the rest of the night. Our characters kind of sit there and learn what they must do. They're recounting everything that they've learned about them. Well, mostly Billy. Billy recounts everything he's learned. How do we defeat them? How did he kill them? Uh, and what's going to be their next exit strategy of these things nest and they stay in the pack, so there has to be something that they're going to do.
And they
uh
can't go in the sun, so
yeah,
they
they
can
can't go in the
find
sunlight,
somewhere
so they're going to figure out a way of how to get them out by hitting all the nests. And in doing so, they figure out, well, what's the one place that a whole bunch of these things can nest all in one area, because they don't travel separately, which is a good thing, so it makes it easier for them to find them, because they all nestle in one thing. They don't separate themselves from anyone. um, and yeah, so they kind of put their minds together, and they think, oh, the movie theater, it's dark enough, there's legit one whole exhibit room that all of them can be in one room, and they can all keep an eye on each other. So their whole plan going into our third act, the road back, is Billy and the gang go to the movie theater. They find that the Gremlins are watching Snow White, and so they go to the boiler, and they're pretty much going to set the whole place to explode. uh, and in the process of it, they kind of screw up. The Gremlins know that they're there, and poor Dougal gets attacked. uh Gary was supposed to help, but Gary abandons them. And this is kind of more like when Tracy stops being the damsel in distress, and Tracy actually starts helping Billy with the whole like, oh my god, we gotta save Mr. Dougal. uh, they they uh they fight off the Gremlins that are there. The theater blows up, if I remember correctly, and but pretty much Dougal dies. He dies of his wounds. They carry him away, and then Billy gets into a fist fight with Gary, because essentially Dougal could have survived, and a lot of their fuck ups, I think, were all pinned on Gary.
hmm
I think Gary was the one that pretty much blew their cover. And it's like, can you
Coward.
do anything that doesn't fuck up? And it's, and of course, Gary's over here like, well, like, I'm not the fucking freak here, writing fantasy novels and da da da. And it's like, Gary's just looking to sit there and blow the blame differently. It's probably the reason why he's not a cop. He's not a smart guy. He probably would have gotten the police unit all in trouble for his stupidity. Um, and yeah, like Billy and them pretty much fight it off, and then a gremlin just pops up and just kills them, which is nice. It's like, good, we don't have to worry about Gary getting our heroes into any more fucking shit.
No, Gary, he was my favorite character.
I fucking hate Gary. You know, I love Gary the Snail from SpongeBob, but fucking Gary, the security guard, the bank security guard from Gremlins, I fucking hate.
Oh, you know
Um,
they're not real cops.
yeah, I like to sit there see you tell them that in the freaking face. Oh my god, like. But anyway, so we're going into our resurrection. We are one third of a way through our final act. Billy and Tracy pretty much run over to the greenhouse. They're traveling on foot. They're trying to outrun the gremlins all the way until sundown until they can be safe. They find themselves this greenhouse, and they end up bumping into a gremlin that Billy locks into a toolbox, which comes later on in the act. He ends up locking him up, and they end up scaling a tree. And the gremlins are up there, and they're like, they're scaling the tree as well, but they're also trying to cut the tree down. Uh, and Billy and them, they're just trying to hold up. They see in the horizon, they see the sun's coming up. All they have to do is just wait a couple of minutes, and they will be safe. And yeah, the sun comes. Like it's a pretty kind of lazy way of like, oh, this is how we kind of get rid of it. And as much as I hated it, it's like, but you know what? It still is a really good visual set piece of like the heroes are just trying to survive. And you have all these gremlins climb up in a tree. They're like knocking them down. But at the same time, too, the gremlins have learned to master power tools.
Yeah.
So they're over here, cutting, they're trying to take that tree down so that they can eat Billy and Tracy. And they're just trying to they end up falling down into the snow because the tree does get cut down. But before the gremlins could do anything, the sun's up. They're melting. They're dying. They're turning into goo. Uh, and yeah, that's pretty much just how the night ends. I
They
think I wanted
win.
to say this takes place within a span of about 4 days in the script. I think they shortened it to like only really two in the movie, if I believe so. But
Yeah,
they shrunk down the time constraints, so a lot more happened. But our return to the ordinary world is obviously Billy and Tracy. They have already had kiss, and they've already kind of locked in this love relationship that they're going to be together forever, even in the sequel. Which, believe it or not, doesn't really happen all too much with your '80s heroes and movies. They don't usually always stick with the same love interest, but in this one they did. Um, and what is it that I'm forgetting? When Billy wakes up in the hospital and Tracy's there, uh, he remembers that they forgot all except for one. Uh,
the one in the
and
what?
Rand's there to help his son. It's like, it's okay, I'm here. I just got to the town, and it's like you're pretty relaxed. I guess you haven't found out yet that your wife was eaten out by gremlins. Um, I know, probably the
It's
wrong
okay. She was
phrasing,
pretty
folks.
much of
Phrase.
a like a robot, a drugged up robot. Anyways, so
Yeah, but so yeah, Rand arrives late. He's like, oh, I just got the call about the Mogwai. Where are they? It's like they're all dead except for one, and one I left in a toolbox. We need to find it. And of course, we go and check that toolbox, and the toolbox is I think like on the back of a truck,
yeah,
and it falls off and it goes down like a little hill, and you can hear the gremlin in there is still alive. It's giggling. Like, these things can handle being stuck in cramped quarters. So it goes down the hill, and then it lands into, I guess it's like a pond or a lake, like a
yeah,
little small. Well, I guess a small lake would be a pond,
yeah.
and all what you hear is this this giggle from the script, and it's like, ooh, like the
The
end.
second one.
Yeah, time for a sequel.
Yep.
So yeah, that's the early draft. That's like the more closer to horror. And what do you think about this script, this early draft, Chris?
It's
Before we jump
definitely
into
more critters than gremlins. Because
exactly, it does. But you know
you're
what? Even in Critters had a lot of humor in it for what it was.
yeah, but it was also like way darker and like like you actually see like blood and stuff like
Billy
there
Zane with that
it's
little ponytail,
leans way
getting
more into the
attacked in the
horror
barn.
aspect of the story,
Yeah, yeah,
of the premise, with these little evil creatures destroying a small town. But
yeah.
yeah, no, it's a dark, fun script. I would have. I think I definitely would have. like been happy with that version if we got that. Like if we had got the family friendly version.
Yeah,
But because like I love the whole Arthurian like aspect of his story, with him just like wanting
becoming
to.
the knight in shining armor
Yeah,
to
he's
save
got
the
a friggin'
town.
sword, man. It's awesome.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
the
I will say this: they could still take elements of this and do it for the sequel, if that's
I
even
could.
still a thing. I think like COVID just killed that. Like the pandemic,
Yeah.
I
I
think it
think
killed because they were supposed to have a TV show and they did have it like an animated show, but
they
like
did an
yeah, it was
animated
for
one.
Cartoon Network, but they very rarely showed it. Like I don't even think they even finished the season out because it
Huh.
wasn't well received. And
I
like I think they only got like maybe not even 5 episodes out before they just stopped showing it. And they threw it
oh,
on Boomerang and they threw it at the hours where everyone else is asleep and
I'll
no
have
one's
to
gonna
look
watch
that
it.
up. But I know like
Yeah.
they greenlit a third one. I don't know if like
Yeah.
it were gonna bring everybody back, but like yeah,
Well,
they
you
were
can't bring
supposed to have
Dick
a third
Miller
one.
back because of the what is it? I'm trying to look for it. Uh the Okay, so yeah, there was Gremlins Secret of the Mogwai, which was an animated series. And it was supposed to go on HBO Max, but for some reason they threw it on Cartoon Network. Ming
Yeah.
Na Wen is playing Fong Wing. Fong Wing, I think I got that. They had like a lot. Like I guess this would like kind of more cater towards like where did Gizmo come from? Yeah, because it's supposed to be the 1920s in Shanghai, East China.
Oh, it was gonna be a
Um,
prequel.
yeah, it was gonna be a prequel, and they were even gonna have George Takei, Sandra Oh, Randall Park. It was gonna have an all Asian cast. They were gonna bring back Zach Galligan as Billy Peltzer, but like I think obviously he would be learning the history of what it was. They didn't bring back Howie Mandel to do Gizmo. They had AJ, I think that was Locasio. I'm so sorry if I butchered that name, but yeah, like it's like almost like an all Asian cast, and trying to find the sequel to it. Um, yeah, we were supposed to get a sequel. They sat there said December 2016. This is where a lot of those reports became more stated. Columbus stated that back in November 2020 that CGI would not be used for Gremlins and that traditional puppets and animatronics would be continued. But like it also felt like the sequel kind of went to sleep when they mentioned Secrets of the Mogwai. Now apparently they sit there and said that the original release now is this year. I have no clue what's going on because I do believe it's probably going to be a canceled product because of HBO Max, and
Yeah.
there was a lot of stuff that was canceled. So
Oh yeah.
I have no clue because let's see the release. In March of 2022, it was announced the series would premiere its first episode at the something International Animation Film Festival, June 13th of 2022. And then in September 2021, it was announced the series would air on Cartoon Network as part of their Acme Night Block. And on May 16th, 2022, Warner Brothers Animation revealed the first look at the main characters in the series. After that, we haven't heard jack shit. This is like what the second quarter of 2022 and we still haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
So I do possibly believe that this thing got secretly shelved. But I remember seeing this thing on Cartoon Network. Like it was on its lineup. Gremlin Secret of the Mogwai. So
We'll
I
have
have
to
no clue if they
investigate that later then.
yeah, like it's weird. It's very weird. I like the premise of putting it like in a different timeline and like making like a prequel. But if they ever do finally make a sequel to Gremlins, I kind of really do hope that they kind of do like the dark route. It's like, okay, we've had the nice original horror comedy version, and then we had the satirical comedy. Now let's try to do like a twist, like how Scream would do it, and let's just actually try to make these fuckers like like a real threat.
Right.
Like let's see it take over the town. You know, maybe not as many body count kills, maybe not eat the dog, but still, like,
Oh no. Eat the dog.
you know,
Let's go all the way, man.
maybe there's like a distant cousin that's somehow still alive in Mrs. Deagle and they get eaten, like just to make sure, or maybe the
My
husband.
grandmother
Well,
was murdered
no,
by
I think Mrs. Deagle was a widow in the original.
yeah, she was a widow, but like she was a rich,
Okay,
evil
so the
Karen widow.
script had it where this one had it when she was married, but in the finish, She was a widow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really do hope that maybe they take some notes from the original and they just try to turn that into a sequel. It would be nice.
Yeah.
It'll be something different because really, what more can you do with Gremlins?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
you gotta
it's a
twist
creature
it
that can be
some.
reproduced like infinitely if
Yeah,
they want to keep going forever. It's kind of like, I guess, Chucky. Like, if as long as there's a good guy doll in that universe, there's going to be a Chucky, you know. But
yeah, but the different thing is that Chucky was able to redefine himself many times. Like, it was like a straight slasher supernatural film for like the original trilogy, and then once Bride, it was Bride, the son of.
Seed, Curse,
There you go. Yeah.
Cult.
Well, like I do know that the Bride and the Seed of Chucky were like horror comedies, and then they kind of went back to basics with Curse, and then there was the one where they were in the
Cult.
sanitarium. Yeah, the cult. That kind of went right back to basics. Like you still had your comedy in it, but like they also still treated it like a very serious IP. And I have yet to see the TV show, but still they
Really?
redefined something. Yeah, I have yet to see the TV show. I
Go
think
check
it's
it
like
out.
on Shutter or something
It's
like
on
that.
Hulu,
Oh,
like
okay, so then it's probably
Sci-Fi
on Hulu.
Hulu USA.
So like to sit there and take like what was like an old existing 80s property and try to redefine it almost every couple of like decades, and then to sit there and say, well, like what can we really do with the movie? Because like obviously the Mark Hamill AI one did not work.
We
And
don't speak of that one. That
yeah, so
was
like to turn it
garbage.
into a TV show, I could sit there and see, even if they don't do a sequel movie, if they just did the TV show and the TV show did well, it's like, okay, you know what? I'll take that. Um, but how are you going to market that one to children? Because these things eat animals and people, you know?
You just cut away from the deaths, like in the movie, like dun 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 dun, dun and then like and then you cut away.
Ah!
Then
Yeah,
you hear
yeah.
about how old man Fritz bought it. You know.
But yeah, so Chris, this is where you're going to take it. You're going to take us on the journey of the actual finished the finished cut of it. So we've already had our darkness for this wonderful Christmas, folks. So now we're gonna brighten your soul with a bunch of funny Dick Miller quotes and whatnot.
Oh yeah. So yeah, we opened on the opening ordinary world of Bedford Falls, and it's
Kingston
picturesque. You
Falls,
know.
not Bedford. Bedford
Sorry.
is
Yeah.
It's a Wonderful Life.
I'm reading it. I see Kingston Falls, and then there's Bedford Falls. Damn you for making that so sampler. Also in the movie, like I also recognize the town square. That's from Back to the Future. Like you see the clock
Yeah,
tower in the little square there. I was like, that looked so familiar, and then I had to pull it up. Like, yeah,
yeah.
that's
So much
totally
of this movie reference other '80s films, and I don't know if it's like an actual set area or if
I
that's
think
like
it
an
is.
actual like area town in which like they did what they did. Because
I'm
part of me
pretty
thinks
sure.
it's set, part of me thinks it's an actual in real life area. We may have to look that up
I
for the B
no,
show and talk about it.
I'm pretty sure it is an actual set. Didn't we go? Wait, did you go on that trip to Hollywood with
No,
us?
no, I did
Oh,
not.
okay. So yeah,
I
I think
don't do
they actually.
airplanes. Just
I
like
don't
what
know airplanes either, but man, I
just like
wanted to
what
go.
Ardoth Bay said. What just like what Ardoth Bay said in the Mummy
Yeah.
'90s film. Why can't you people just keep your feet on the ground? I have a terrible fear of heights. Getting me in an airplane, you better drug me and put me in the cargo area for me to travel. So,
It wasn't that bad, and the plane landed, so that was a plus.
oh
but
my god,
yeah.
oh my god, kill
So
me right
yeah,
now, Chris.
Kingston Falls. Uh, yeah, it's a picturesque town, but we actually start in the movie. Rand is already looking in Chinatown. He's going store to store trying to sell his gizmo, uh, and that's when he comes across the young boy who's trying to get the old man to come into the shop and buy something because his
Hmm.
shop with his grandfather is kind of falling on hard times, and they need to make some money. So
Yeah,
they try to like sell him, hey, look at this, look at that, a bunch of cool little knickknacks. But that's when he tries to sell him this little shaving travel buddy thing.
the bathroom buddy.
Yeah, the bathroom buddy.
See, I didn't watch the movie before recording, and I still know. I know that in the smokeless ashtray.
Ah, get out of here. But yeah, no, he's selling. He's trying to sell them on that. He's like, oh, I'm not interested. And here's Gizmo across the room, and he's a cute little creature just singing like, "Ah, what is this?" And he's gone. But I'll keep going anyways.
I'm sorry.
uh,
I have loud neighbors.
Garbage on. But yeah, no, he sees Gizmo and he's like, "This is a perfect gift for my son. How much do you want for it?" But the old man is a wise old man who knows that if the world isn't ready for Gizmo,
Pretty
so he's
much.
like, "Ah, I'm not. It's not for sale."
Not for sale.
Yeah. Uh, so they get into it a little bit, and he finally is like relents, like, okay, and the boy takes him aside. He's like, "Hey, I'll meet you out back in 20 minutes," and he sells Gizmo for $200, and and uh, now we have. Oh, that is the call for adventure. Sorry, I'm I'm
Is that?
skipping over. Yeah, that is the call for, because Rand decides to bring Gizmo home, and that
Oh, okay.
gets the story going.
So that's kind
Uh,
of weird that at least in this script that they treat Rand as somewhat the main character compared to Billy.
yeah.
Like I see it
Well,
as a setup, but yeah, you know.
I mean, I don't think the hero's journey doesn't always have to, like, the hero isn't the one who has to like get things kicked off. Like in Star Wars, it's R two
True,
D
true,
two
because
and
like
C-3PO.
you got the yeah in Star Wars where we covered that, but also too you have it in Psycho, where it's like
Yeah,
you had this whole character within what the first 45 minutes, and then the other 45 minutes it was a totally different
because
character.
she decides to return the money and nothing bad ever happens to her.
Oh my god! Watch the
But
sequel; it's far different.
yeah, we have the refusal to call. Grandfather refuses to sell to Gizmo, but he still gets it from the grandson. Now we move on to meeting the mentor, and there technically isn't a mentor in the movie, according to the notes here. But I say the neighbor is kind of the mentor to
Yeah,
Billy, because like he
Dick
comes out and
Dick
he's like, "Hey,
Miller's
can I help you with the car?" Because we see
goddamn
Billy's
foreign cars.
trying
Yeah,
to get his car started, and he's late for work, so he has to get going. But like, hey, he's gonna try to help him out, and it's like, back in the war, uh, we dealt with old crappy foreign stuff, and not his snowplow. His snowplow holds up really well, which is,
yeah. He's
snowplows are
definitely
so
like a
dangerous.
he screams a lot for your like I'm an American
Yeah,
man and yeah.
yeah, I fought in the war. I fought for this country, kind of thing. Doesn't really
Well,
like anything
I think
foreign.
this is supposed to be Korea, right?
I think it's Japan, like, because
Well, like yeah, this is like the
he's
80s
like
though, but I kind of
60.
figured that like he would be a bit too old, I think, to be a World War II vet, right?
No, I mean, like, if he looked like he was in his 60s, or maybe late
I kind of thought he
50s.
was like in his 50s, so I was like thinking, I was like, wait,
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
mean, those kids joined up early in that time. They
yeah,
they
yeah,
didn't really care about like age limit, or they could lie and never really look too much into it. So
yeah,
yeah, he probably would have fought in World War II about his age. But yeah, he's talking about uh, the Gremlins later on the script, and like, they sent him over here and they mess with things later on when he's drunk. But
old
yeah,
wise tale.
yeah, meeting the mentor. Oh man, let's see. If we told, Rand is told all the consequence, all the rules, and the isn't really told like what happens if you break the rules. Just don't break the rules, which is, don't no sunlight, no food after 12 o'clock, and no water. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
which we saw in the earlier draft what happens if any of those rules are broken. But even in that older draft, the rules aren't solidified and told very well to the audience.
yeah,
Where this one does. This one like gives you like, yeah, there's three rules and um,
yeah. But I mean,
continue.
yeah, we pretty much go from the original script. Like Billy goes to the bank, and he is harassed by Mrs. Deagle, who wants to kill his dog, for like tearing up some Christmas decoration. And you see how evil Mrs. Deagle is. Like, she's got a lady with her kids outside the bank, like, "Mrs. Deagle, can you please give us a little bit more time so we can make our rent?" And she's like, I'm not in the business of being friendly. Give me my money.
Yeah,
She's like,
she's
I'm gonna
definitely a
put you on your
Mrs.
ass.
Potters, like a
Yeah,
Mrs. Potters kind of
yeah.
character.
You don't feel any sympathy for her, but like you see like how like just evil she is. Like she's rich and she doesn't have checks bouncing. Like she doesn't care about anybody but herself.
Yeah.
But yeah, she confronts Billy at the bank, and she is like, "Give me that dog. I'll take it to the shelter and put it down." And it's just like so
Oh my
evil. The
god.
dog hears this and kind of attacks her, and Billy's forced to apologize before he gets fired. So that's
Yeah.
fun. Like, oh man, I don't know why you would bring your dog to work anyways. Like, just leave it at the house. But
Well,
I,
he had already sat there and destroyed, so he sat there and knew it's like she'll be coming over and harassing his mother.
yeah,
So it's like Mrs. Deagle wouldn't come to my work and actually confront me on the matter, and it's like, oh, au contraire, mon frere. I don't know if that's said right. It's like, but pretty much, she's like, I will confront you anywhere.
but yeah, we're introduced to a lot of the main characters. We are introduced to Kate, Phoebe's character, and
Hmm.
she's already you can already tell based on how the interaction goes. Like she's you see her looking at Billy. She's into Billy, but I guess he's kind of like oblivious at the moment. But Gerald is kind of the replacement for Gary.
Yeah,
He's kind of Billy's like rival, and
he's like
he
his supervisor and everything,
yeah.
and yeah.
So yeah, we move on and we move on to I
Why
guess
don't you
the
come over tonight? I got
yeah
cable.
yeah we
Like
got
that used to be
cable.
a pickup line
Yeah.
back then. Like, oh my, I got cable.
You knew you were
Like.
rich if you had cable. Like he's gonna be a millionaire by the time he's 30, bragging and trying to get her to come over. And she's like, "You didn't see my new place. I haven't seen your old place either."
It's like,
Hint, hint.
ooh.
But yeah, Billy walks her home, and they kind of set up a little date. And then Rand comes home and gives Billy Gizmo, and you see like I like the home. Like it's you see like Rand's inventions. You see he's an
Hmm.
inventor. All his crafts are breaking like all throughout the house, but like
Like
you
there's
see
a
he's trying
coffee
to
maker,
yeah
and it's
his
like
cock
it makes thick ass coffee. It's like,
yeah
oh my god.
the egg cracker, little chicken that comes down and breaks the egg.
And
But
then you
like
got the juicer.
yeah, it's user. And also, there is a note to the original script. There are swords on the wall when Billy comes through the house, and one of the swords falls down to the ground, and Billy has to like put it back up. But like you see like
Yeah,
some things kind of like survived. I guess were nodded to.
yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Only Chris
So
Columbus and whoever read the script of the original one is like, ah, Billy was supposed to kill these fuckers with that. I was like, what happened? I was like, was it in the budget?
yeah, gonna do it. But yeah, his mom is also a like she's not a Valiant mom. She's an actual mom who like
She's
is
a good
loving and
mom.
caring. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's a housewife
Yeah.
and
Well, like she
she's
wasn't a
supportive.
bad mom exactly, but like they weren't really living in such a stressful situation.
Yeah,
This mother was more understanding with her husband's inventions, and she was very supportive.
yeah.
Even though when she and Billy look at each other, they're like, "Oh God, Dad's inventions suck."
She was
Like,
definitely a throwaway character in the original script.
yeah,
But yeah, we Billy is gifted Gizmo by his father, and we go over the rules, and he's like, "Oh, cool! This is a cool little creature, I guess." So yeah, we'll move on to the test allies and enemies. Uh, oh no, sorry, crossing the threshold. I'm all over the place too. Uh,
it's been a Sunday, folks. It's been a
yeah.
fucking Sunday.
Uh, while Billy is working on he's an illustrator in this one now, which is a
Yes,
nice little a good change, I think, because like
it's not that far of a difference
yeah,
compared to him being a writer. Either way, he's more of a creative person that has a he's very intuitive into his creativity,
yeah,
which
and you
doesn't
can
change the
show the
character all too
audience how
much.
good he is by like showing, oh, this is what he drew, and it's actually good.
But also
So
too, it does make sense when even in the original script, whenever he talks about like on the coffee date that he had with Tracy, who is Kate in this in the final script, uh, when he talks about, he does have a moment where he talks about architecture, that he likes to study architecture overseas, and more or less that kind of becomes more of a crux of just what his character kind of is with what he wants to pursue career wise, because you even see it in the sequel when he's working for that mall, and he's doing the illustrations for like whatever new building park infrastructure. He's
yeah,
still doing what he wants to do, even though he's working for some rich,
it's
uh,
a natural progression of this
yeah, but
person's
yeah,
story
yeah,
there. Yeah, but yeah, he accidentally knocks some water on Gizmo, and Gizmo pops some little eggs off, and he gets 4 or 5 more Gizmos, and they're all assholes.
but you could
Uh,
tell which one's the leader too.
yeah, they seem to be following this Stripe character, so it's good to put like a
Stripe.
little antagonist
Yeah.
to the little creatures. Like this is gonna be the recognizable bad guy. It's kind of like in Critters 3 when the bleach is thrown on one of the critters, and like that's the one that's the bad
Yeah,
one.
because even then in that one, they're like, what was it? I think didn't he look at himself in the window and said "bitchin"?
Yeah,
Yeah,
what
it
it
was like
is, but like
"bitchin."
the bad guy, like having a white streak in his hair is always like a sign that he's the bad guy. They did it with
Yeah,
Jason Todd in DC Comics, like he had a white streak
yeah.
in his hair.
If you got a
But
white streak in your hair, you got some wildness in
yeah,
you.
he had a stressful life growing up, being brought back from the dead.
I have a stressful life too if I got my ass beat by a clown and then blown up.
Yeah. So the little Mogways are causing havoc, and Billy can't keep up. But they're all like kind of being annoying, as they
Yeah.
are annoying in the script. But they beg to be fed, and he's like, it's not 12 o'clock, so why not? So he gives them some food, some leftover chicken, but Stripe tricked him and like chewed off the cord for the clock.
Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, he chewed off the cord for the clock, so he tricked them. And the next morning, they were all eggs, and just like in the script,
yeah.
like alien eggs. Like you're gonna get a face hugger thrown
You
at
would,
you.
yeah, you would think like you're waiting for like the thing to just split open from the top, and I don't even think they really even show you like the first, when they do the transformation in the movie. I don't think they even show you, like they kind of show
No,
you like all the fog, and like the room gets covered like in that bog kind of fog look,
yeah,
and you just see them as like they get out, but you don't outright see how the egg actually opens. Like they
right,
they just kind of push through like it's nothing, and
yeah.
uh,
But like Gizmo is left to like be tortured by these poor things. Like they're just treating Gizmo like crap, little
oh
Gizmo.
yeah.
But yeah.
But it
So
also sets up that not only is Billy our hero in this, but Gizmo is. So this definitely does set up all the way through where we see Gizmo. It sets him up as like this cute, cuddly little guy that, even whenever he gets Billy, um, I think at this time this is when he started to learn Billy's name,
yeah,
and like he started learning how to speak, and he's communicating with Billy. So you kind of get this sense of, it's almost like a boy and his dog, but the boy already has a dog, so it's a boy and his mogwai.
yeah,
And so it sets it up perfectly that, yeah, when these gremlins hatch and everything, that like the first thing they're going to go after is the cute and cuddliest, you know because like they already went after the dog before they even transformed, because remember they try to hang him one night,
yeah.
and yeah,
Little
yeah,
turds.
poor fucking damn dog just does not get it good.
Yeah,
Like the
but I
dog
think
survives,
yeah,
but
I think at the time though, like by the time when they're hatching, he's on his date with Kate here,
mm-hmm,
and she's talking about like how she like doesn't celebrate Christmas, and we don't get into the real reason why till later. And the eggs hatch, and the mom has to deal with that. So a lot of what's in the original script is replaced with the mom fighting off these horrible gremlin creatures. And yeah, I
Thank
had to look
God.
it up real quick, but like apparently gremlin is Cantonese for like evil spirit or some shit or evil demon.
Really?
Yeah,
So there is some legitimateness to like calling it like a devil or like
yeah,
an evil spirit.
exactly.
That's still nice. That's still nice. Like I know now today if you'd have did something, there would be someone like, "That's not what it means,"
Yeah.
and
How dare you?
it's like it's a
But
movie.
get over it.
Shut the
But
fuck
yeah,
up and give me your money.
am I getting mugged? God dang it! Not again. But she calls Billy. He's like, "Get over here!" And yeah, she fights them all off, and Billy gets over there, and she survives. But
hmm
they manage to kill like a lot of them, but Stripe escapes. Just like in the original script, he gets to the YMCA, and Billy fights him there, but he jumps into the pool and mutates. And Billy's like, "Oh
Yeah,
shit, I'm gonna call the cops." So he goes to the police, and while the Mogwai uh, multiply and begin wreaking havoc on the town, the cops don't believe him until I guess they show him Gizmo.
yeah.
But yeah, let's see.
And I love how like in the cops in this town don't immediately fucking fire. Like like I think if I would have saw someone go like that, I'm like in a heartbeat you would have Police Chief Wiggum who fucking like, holy, what the hell is that? And he never put that damn gun down until after he knows that thing is out of his precinct. It's all like, get it out. Yeah.
These cops are a little bit more restrained, I guess, more
Yeah.
friendly. But
Yeah.
yeah, the Mogwais are wreaking havoc. They're like killing everyone. They kill poor old man. Let's see, not Deagle.
Are you talking about the neighbor? I don't think they
Yeah,
go after him, do they?
Futterman. Right?
But I don't think they go after him, right? Did they go after Futterman or
Yeah,
Butterman?
Futterman. Billy, Mr. Funny drunk neighbor.
But
Yeah,
Futterman. Okay, so they did go out there. Okay, well,
yeah,
do remember that they went after Mrs. Deagle, but I guess they
but
could have gotten the snowplow first. And
they
uh,
get the snowplow and like they mess with this cable and he goes outside and the snowplow like kills him and his wife, which we all
or
seen. Jeremy Renner of all people knows just how dangerous a snowplow is.
oh, dude, I think that's a little too soon.
He's
God,
alive. He's fine for now.
folks, I do not speak for Chris Cupp. His comments on Jeremy Renner. Please don't cancel me. We love Jeremy Renner here at the Cinema Alley podcast, and
He's a
oh
good
my god.
dude. I hope he actually recovers. But like,
hmm
just as a tra- parallel there, like be careful around snowplows. Don't let the gremlins get on your snowplow. But yeah, they go around and kill everybody in like kind of fun comedic ways. They like don't show the deaths, and they I
Yeah,
guess the only one we really see is Mrs. Deagle, who
but
gets
that's the best
shot
kill
out of her
ever
house on her little
and
chair going up the
everything,
ladder.
because she's like over here like Christmas carolers. She's gonna go throw water on them, and it's like that's cruel to throw water out while it's snow to do that to carolers. And then when she opens it, it's like "Da, da, 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 da," and like they're just singing to her in the most like sweet kind of thing. And then you got Stripe just burrowing through the snow, just watching it all. And he goes into the house and messes with the wiring, and she's like, oh my god, it's the demons, they're out to get me. And it's like, yeah, it's what you get for being a cranky old bitch. And like, yeah, and she's all like, also too, she has like a bunch of cats, so it's like, oh, please don't eat the
Yeah,
cats.
crazy cat lady.
um
But Billy
yeah
has to go save his girlfriend now, and yeah, he goes to the bar and finds Kate's been like kind of entertaining a little party of gremlins. She
the
has to kill
best scene in that movie,
them.
the flasher gremlin. You can't do that no more today. Gremlins and drag, gremlins smoking and drinking pints of beer.
Why not? It's fun.
I know, but there'd be someone that gets so freaking offended, and it's like, look, if we managed to get this shit done in 2003 with the fucking Lord of the Rings movies, it's like we could do it again with the Hobbits, and
Don't if you're a writer out there, don't worry about offending anyone. You're never gonna be
you're gonna
like,
offend them one way or another.
yeah,
So
you're
just
gonna
go ahead
find
and write it.
might as well
Yeah,
offend somebody, like if
yeah.
you're gonna offend anyone, just do
I
it.
look at it simply as if you're not if you're not offending someone, then you're doing your job wrong.
Yeah.
I learned that from House. So maybe not the best advice in every scenario, but yeah.
But yeah, he managed to rescue Kate, and they have to kill all the gremlins. So they do a little plan to get them all in the theater and blow up the theater. While they're doing this, Stripe goes out to go get some more candy at the
I feel
department
that.
store. Like, yeah, you gotta get
Yeah.
candy, man.
It's like
Gremlins are in the
fuck this
theaters.
expensive ass theater candy. It's like I'm gonna go to the department store and get me a king size Hershey,
Yeah,
and yeah.
they
Uh,
they managed to blow up all the gremlins in the movie theater, but they see Stripe has survived, and like, yeah, we have to kill him before he gets to more water. So they chase after him, and they have a really cool battle. Like Stripe is like really,
chase battle. Yeah.
yeah, he's really scary. Like he's got a freaking chainsaw, and he's like trying to chop Billy in half with it.
Now, for the longest time, I used to never believe the whole thing with, uh, even though it was a small saw that Stripe would try to cut through chunks of that bat
Yeah,
with it. And I always used to think that there was a chain on there. I don't think there ever was. So that's what took it so long. Was just like he was already being dragged by it. And so
yeah,
to like cut through, I was like, why isn't this thing cutting through faster? It's a freaking little piece of wood,
yeah.
even for a baseball bat. And then like I noticed like, oh, there's
With
no chain on it.
the
So
department store chainsaw, I think they have to like assemble that like out of the box whenever you buy it. They have to put a
yeah.
chain on there.
Otherwise, people would be running around with like super long extension cords. You fucking trying to chase people around with a handy saw.
Exactly. But yeah, they get to the greenhouse sort of, and Stripe manages to turn on a little fountain. You see Gizmo in there. He's driving a little around in a little car.
This is like
Freaking
Gizmo's like big
adorable.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they see that the sun's coming up, and they manage to like open up the ceiling a little bit and get the sunlight and kill Stripe with it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he,
In the most goriest way possible.
yeah, his death is really cool.
Yeah,
He's like
like
melting and
it's
shit.
one of those ones you can't forget, especially like because what you had two fake outs, right?
Two fake
I think
outs.
I think you had two fake outs of his death. I don't think it was just one because I know the
Oh yeah,
final
he
one
comes
was
out
when
of the water as he
the
falls in the
final one
water.
was whenever he dropped out and it's like nothing but bone,
Yeah,
and somehow he was still able to screech without a voice box,
yeah,
and I mean, and he just the bones just melt. So obviously these things are magical, you
a little
know.
bit. Some
Yeah,
ancient like evil magic, but yeah, they they go all out on this little death for Stripe.
yeah.
But yeah, Rand gets back to the town and he finds the dog, and they go on searching for the Billy and find Billy uh, after he killed Stripe. Uh, we get to, I guess I've been skipping over the titles, my bad, but we
Yeah.
return with the elixir. They return home with Gizmo, and everyone's kind of like recovering from the whole ordeal of the gremlins destroying the town. Not everyone is dead, but like it's pretty like pretty bad.
This is like the
Uh,
most heartbreaking ending when it comes to this story.
yeah, but like the grandfather managed from the Chinatown managed to track them down and find Gizmo, and he's like, I have to take Gizmo back, and there is no ultimate
Mogwai
prize for Billy.
is much responsibility.
Yeah, but
I did
Gizmo's
my
like, I
best
want to
without
say
the
goodbye.
accent. But yeah, it's still, and it breaks your heart too because you hear, Gizmo go like, "Bye, Billy," and it's
Yeah,
like, what the fuck? Somehow it became like the
think
most
and
wholesome
talk.
ending. Yeah, you
Yeah,
teach him television, and it's like, man.
but yeah, they
I don't know where they got the ayah stuff. I never understood that. I have seen, even in some classic film that would portray people from China and just, you know, Asia all like just they portray them in such a negative light, even if they are meant to be a positive influence.
Yeah.
And the ayah, and it's like I've only really seen that in a couple of projects, and yet, you know, some people actually really do think that's like an actual saying, and it's like, where the hell, like, yeah. As much as I love this film, it's whenever it gets to grandfather, there's still so many stereotypes that just aren't, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, this wasn't a Crazy Rich Asians world yet, you know, so.
Yeah. I don't mind stereotypes. They exist for a reason, you know. It sets characters apart. And you get the wise old Chinaman who's like reiterating to the family, like, "Hey, this is not a toy. Like, this is a big responsibility to have a
Yeah.
Mogwai." And like Billy learns that you should probably follow the rules and don't screw up and don't don't get
Way to
your
go,
Mogwai
Chris, to
wet.
just hammer that in. It's like the moral of the story, kids: don't fuck up the rules,
Yeah,
or you won't get your freaking pet back. And it's like,
but yeah, we come to the end of the movie.
I like that story.
Yeah.
I really do. Even though, I like the darkness of what the early drafts. It's still nothing beats what was done. You know, especially the music. The music, the even the radio DJ that popped up every now and then from like the beginning and then through the Gremlin attack. It's
It's really
still
catchy.
he adds so much to the personality of Kingston Falls, not Bedford, but Kingston. I just have to drill that right in the freaking Chris, just for one last little
Talking about
savory
Potterville,
moment.
right?
No, not Potterville.
What?
Now Potterville died when Mrs. Deagle went out the window.
She's the
But
last. This is Mrs. Deagle is a relative of Potter. That's why I keep getting confused, right? Like,
yeah, sure. Let's go. Mrs. Deagle was once married to Mr. Potter, and then she took him for everything he goes. That's why he was all over Jimmy Stewart's ass. And It's a Wonderful Life.
yeah.
It's all like, that bitch freaking divorced me and took me for everything I had, and so I'm gonna take this town with the. Oh my god! But yeah,
Oh, very nice.
this is an excellent film. This is like the best thing to watch during Christmas. If you really want to get into the spirit of Christmas, this is like the best one of the best Joe Dante movies ever.
Yeah.
And I love The Howling too. So I put Gremlins up there number 1 with The Howling number 2.
I still need to see that one. So cool.
You
Sounds like a
haven't
cool
seen
werewolf.
it?
No,
Oh my god!
I've never even heard it until
Just
a few
watch like
years
the
ago.
first 2, and then after the first 2 movies, like it all gets crazy because technically, Howling 3 is a remake of Howling 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of weird to immediately remake the first one
Is
and
it
still
better than
call
the
it.
first one?
No, it's much more accurate to the book, but it's not a. But the books I'm told were good, but it was just the adaptation and the acting,
Okay.
just wasn't favorable. But to wrap up the last thing about Asian portrayals in cinema at that time, I actually do think though that still some of the best stuff, at least to me at that time, that was adapted well was Big Trouble in Little China. I felt like they handled that a little bit better, because they were meant to put it in a fantasy urban setting.
Yeah.
Like we can kind of take all these what is it stereotypes, and we can still kind of work it in where it doesn't feel really insulting, that it actually felt, because really if you think about it, Kurt Russell's not the hero in that story.
Yeah,
He's the bumbling sidekick. It's
the guy who like owes him money, right? Like,
it's oh my god, hold on, I am looking that up because
he gets the
I've seen
princess
that
at
movie.
the end.
Yeah, and he gets the princess at the end.
Yeah. Kurt Russell just
Dennis
goes back
Dunn.
on the road.
Yeah, Dennis Dunn played Wang Chi. Again, like the names are meant to kind of be laughed at, but yeah, Dennis gets Susie Pie, who is Miao Yin, and then Jack Burton's Kurt Russell pretty much like goes back out on the road, and it's like, how the fuck can you leave Kim Cattrall behind? That's a beautiful ass woman, But yeah, I think we were able to power through this episode, Chris.
Yeah, I mean,
it was definitely a tough week, but you know what? It is nice to sit there and talk about little green reptile men just taking over an entire what Pennsylvania. That probably looks about maybe Pennsylvania
Yeah,
kind of
probably.
town. Yeah,
Maybe it's
Pennsylvania,
Upper New
maybe.
York again.
Yeah, well, like what was it? I think I read somewhere that the location of Bedford Falls, because it's never really described, was supposed to be Pennsylvania, which it makes sense for like some of the factories that like I think that were in the movie. I don't remember too much in the script, but there were factories in It's a Wonderful Life where it was during the World War II times,
Yeah.
where like where Jimmy Stewart did his part and everything. So I want to sit to say I think it was Pennsylvania, um, and probably chances are that's probably where this movie would have taken place at, because I could see a very snowy Pennsylvania be this set. But like what? Like they filmed this in Cali?
Yeah, the Universal
Yeah,
backlot.
yeah. Very very much like how John Carpenter's Halloween was supposed to be in Illinois, but they filmed it in freaking SoCal and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, you have any final thoughts on Gremlins?
Yeah, it's a fun little movie, and if you want to see a more adult and gruesome version of it, go watch Critters.
Very much so, because believe it or not, Critters 2 is a very interesting Easter movie. It does count as an Easter movie.
Oh yeah, it does take place on Easter because like
Yeah.
the priest is killed wearing an Easter bunny
The
costume,
priest
isn't he?
gets killed, but even before then, like you sit there and have it where it's on Sunday morning church.
Oh
The guy
yeah,
dressed as
the
the Easter
eggs,
bunny
they're Easter eggs.
is dropping them, and yeah, those critters got into the damn suit, and the kids are like, ah, and it's like fucking eating the Easter bunny on Easter Sunday. And then it makes it even better because towards the end of the film, they form that giant ball, and you might as well call it almost like an egg, even though it rolled like a ball. It's like there's so many
Murder ball. It's
symbolisms.
a death ball.
Yeah. Yeah, in that sequel, Jesus didn't rise, the critters did. The Krites, that's what they called them. Um, also, too, a little extra tidbit for critters information while we're shoving this in towards the end of our episode. Leonardo DiCaprio was in the third one.
Yeah, he was. He was the young kid of the
Of the apartment
landlord.
complex. Yeah. And to think that this guy who has done movies like The Titanic and movies like what was that one he won an Oscar for? Well, that's pretty fucking vague
Titanic?
because he won tons. Which one?
Did he win an Oscar for Titanic?
I don't. I don't know. That's a good question.
I know he,
I
maybe it
I
was
don't keep up
Guilford
too many
Grape
of his
or something.
accolades, but what was that one where he was like his son got killed and he played opposite not Cillian Murphy, Tom what the fuck's his name? The one who played Bane in the
Tom Hardy?
Batman trilogy. Tom Hardy, yeah. He was hunting Tom Hardy. Uh
Was this a Western?
yeah. Well, sort of in a sense. It took place then.
Oh,
But yeah.
Revenant.
Revenant, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I know Revenant won like an Oscar, so like yeah, Oscar films like the Titanic
Oh
and
yeah,
the
no, that
Revenant.
was his first
Yeah,
movie that he won an Oscar. Like everyone said, he was like he
he was
deserved an
never gonna
Oscar
win it.
anyways.
Yeah,
Like I
he just
think
had
he
to
should
go
have
out
got
there
an
and he had to
Oscar
freeze
for
his
Wolf of Wall
teeth
Street.
off.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
Wolf of Wall Street, he was definitely fucking robbed from. But yeah, Leo DiCaprio, I wanted to see. I think Critters 3 was like one of his very first films.
it was.
Um,
He's a young
it
ass kid
was
now.
yeah, yeah. Critters 3 was his first one. He played a character named Josh. And then he did Romeo and Juliet like 5 years later. As believe it or not, I think I've only seen clips of it, but I've never watched that one. I was always told the '80s version was much better. Um,
It's a.
and
I
then he
mean,
did
his
Titanic in
is fine.
'97, and he did Man in the Iron Mask in '98. So like already, like we kind of knew. Who'd have knew that this kid who gets knocked the fuck out in one scene of a movie and about to get eaten by a bunch of space uh, furballs, space hedgehogs, kinda,
Yeah.
would go on to be in such iconic movies. You know, like if he was here right now, I would sit there and ask, dude, how was it like working on the set of Critters 3? It's like I don't give a shit about your new movie. I don't care
He's
about
like,
your new movie. I don't care about if you could have fit on the fucking damn piece of driftwood with frickin' your love interest in Titanic. Those questions don't bother me. What I want to sit there and know, was, did you really see those critters burp bubbles after they ate dish soap? Like, I'll ask him the real questions. The real questions the movie fans want to know. What was it like doing Critters 3? And I'm pretty sure he'd be like, I did Critters 3. And I was like, oh, he did so much blow in Wolf of
It's
Wall
like
Street,
Michael
he
Caine
forgot
now. Like
Critters
I was
3.
on Jaws 4. What?
Was he?
Michael Caine?
Oh. I thought we were still talking about Leo.
Well, I
Oh,
was
I
just
know, but
like,
yeah, like
that's.
when
What
it
if he
comes to
treats it
like,
like that?
well, it's also the same thing when you look at Jennifer Aniston. It's all like, can you tell us about your time on Leprechaun? And she's like, can we just talk about Friends?
Yeah.
Oh my god! It's like, I feel like the two subjects she avoids is Leprechaun and Brad Pitt. So
Good reason.
yeah, folks, we definitely got off. We definitely got off at the end of this. We were all over the freaking end place. We were talking about Critters, Leonardo DiCaprio, Blow,
Yeah.
The Wolf of Wall Street, and then somehow Jennifer Aniston pops up. Welcome to my brain.
Yeah.
But folks, with that, Chris, where can we find you on the socials?
Zealous Slacker. Just Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Zealous Slacker.
And folks, you can find me as the Gothic Storyteller on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitch. And with that, have a happy holidays. I hope you guys had a wonderful time listening to this in the ramblings of a madman. That, no, I have not had too much eggnog because I don't drink eggnog. I drink whiskey like every. I don't know where to end that. Don't stop watching movie, folks. That's where we'll end it. Don't stop watching movies.
And drink mead. What? Nothing.